Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Four Quarter Talk podcast, the UK's best NBA podcast, or soon to be. I'm here with my co-host, as always, Josh Mazoke. Say what's up, bro.
What's up? What's up? Especially if we got any new listeners from the Twitter, welcome, man, welcome.
I mean, I wouldn't anticipate it, seeing as we only have 30 followers, but you look, trust the process, man. Yeah, we just wanted to start the episode with a quick shout out to the Twitter page. We've just started a Twitter page this week at 4QT Pod on Twitter. If you're interested, what you can expect to see on there is live tweeting highlights of games, NBA memes, discussions, all that good stuff. So if you're interested, go over on Twitter at 4QT Pod on Twitter. I'm sure you'll find something you like and enjoy. All right, let's get into the bulk of the podcast today. What we wanted to start off with, and it's something we alluded to in a previous podcast. Shaquille O'Neal has been up to his tricks again. Shaquille O'Neal, one of the most respected and beloved personalities in the NBA ever, really. His larger-than-life personality, coupled with him being an all-time great, he's one of those people you would consider, at least before this season, as loved by all. But this season, he's been on his BS more than once. Obviously, it started with that weird feud with Rudy Gobert, and it's escalated into last night. A really weird, not even a question. It wasn't even a question. He literally just, Donovan Mitchell torched the New Orleans Pelicans for 36 points. And instead of congratulating Donovan Mitchell, the first words out of Shaq's mouth were to say something along the lines of, I can't remember exactly what he said.
He was basically saying that he doesn't have what it takes or something like that, and he's not that player.
Mr. Shaq, I said tonight that you are one of my favorite players, but you don't have what it takes to get to the next level. I said it on purpose. I wanted you to hear it. What do you have to say about that?
All right. That's it.
That's it?
All right, that's it.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
I wanted you to hear it.
I've been hearing, Shaq, I've been hearing that since my rookie year. I'm just going to get better and do what I do.
Good.
At the end of the day.
Well, that's what I wanted you to hear you say.
Yes,
Love
sir.
your game, brother. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Because apparently earlier in the broadcast, I think halftime, I'm not sure if they were down or not or whatever, but a few of the TNT broadcasters and things were talking about how Donovan Mitchell needs to step up and things, which is weird because they're on quite a tear in recent weeks this season, underrated. But and apparently someone said, maybe it was Reggie Miller, said something about him needing to step up in the playoffs, which is weird because he had an insane playoffs, and I'm pretty sure he's 7th all time in points per game in playoffs. So
they're on a 7-game winning streak right now, the Jazz.
Exactly.
And past 4 or 5 games, Donovan Mitchell has looked back to his best. Obviously, he started the season a bit shaky. He wasn't doing my fantasy much justice. But as of late, he's been really stepping up, really taking that franchise tag on his back. And it was quite funny. I respected his response to Shaq's criticism. Because it was a really misplaced comment. That I could see why. Donovan Mitchell was clearly not having any of it. He just said, he simply responded with a yep and let it go.
Yeah, he was like, I
wouldn't have blamed him if he gave me a little fuck you or shut the fuck up.
He wanted to say more. He wanted to say more. But look, I understand. So I've seen the other side of it. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, everyone's just soft right now." That's what a vet is supposed to do. I understand that, but really, a vet's supposed to. I mean, Shaq can get anyone in the NBA's number. He can get. He's got contacts to get anyone's number. He could hit him up directly and just say, I feel like you could do more. You could be better. You're destined for greatness. You can do more. But to hijack, such a great moment for him where he had such a great game. He's leading the Jazz to a tremendous record. To dampen that just goes to what we were saying in the last time we brought this up, which is the overall problem with the product of like these national TV games and these broadcasts with TNT and ESPN, having people just nag about, you know, the current players and all of that, and like, they're not good enough here and there. Just a lot of unneeded scrutiny that alienates a lot of casual fans, because you'll get that with the ESPN broadcast with Jeff Van Gundy. You know, he always has a new thing to complain about. But then, like from what I'm seeing when I go through Twitter, I see a lot of people talking about games and saying, "Oh, this is a great game, but I've got it muted, like literally muted, because I can't listen to this broadcast." Like, or asking like, "Oh, can I watch?" Like, wanting to watch, you know, the local broadcast instead of watching the national broadcast, because either people sound uninformed, like they haven't watched the game, or it's just hating.
Yeah, well, I saw an example of that last night in the Bucks Lakers game. You know, Giannis, who's trying to evolve and develop his game, was taking a few jump shots last night, and the announcers were not having any of it. They were saying he's taking ill-informed jump shots when he had a lot of space. Like, they weren't objectively, they were good shots. Obviously, maybe not coming out of Giannis's hands, but if he's
trying to take
his games, he's got to take those shots.
And
you know, Chris Webber, who I think is one of the better. I think he's
doing a bad job, man. Like, I didn't hear it directly, but I saw a tweet that said he kept calling what's his name, Giannis, his older brother. He kept saying Giannis's younger brother.
Yeah,
when he's the older one as well.
Yeah,
but like, it just seems like a lot of them aren't doing the research. That's the thing as well. Like, if you're going to scrutinize
for a lot of former players, do you think that stems from, you know, them kind of tuning out of the game since they've retired? Like, I'm not sure a lot of these TNT guys actually, you know, drink and breathe basketball like they used to back in the day.
Yeah, because Shaq, a lot of the time, because especially with that interview that he had with Donovan Mitchell, a lot of the time he sounds like he already had what he wanted to ask, regardless of how Donovan Mitchell played, whether he scored 100 or 2. Like, he already had ready what he wanted to say, what he wanted to get off his chest. I don't know if that's direct, because he kind of has his targets, you know, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, you know, and now Rudy Gobert. And now you have to think that Donovan Mitchell's response is partly due to the way he's been attacking, you know, Rudy Gobert as well. Like, do you feel like he has something against the Jazz for some reason?
Yeah, it's weird. I don't think it's really personal with his Jazz.
No,
but
I doubt that. I've just seen that, but I doubt it. Yeah.
I'm not sure what he would have against the Jazz.
It's just a new generation thing. Obviously, he seems kind of sensitive when it comes to big men, especially, whether it be people saying, you know, this big man's better, and a lot of the time it's not even anyone saying that they're better. It's just, you know, the Dwight situation was Dwight just used the Superman, you know, the Superman thing that was more Shaq's thing in like a dunk contest. And then after that, he was like, I'm the only Superman, and he had a grudge with that. And now with Rudy Gobert, him being the highest paid big man, like, he's got a grudge there now. So it's just strange. It's unneeded, especially in that situation. You know, you want your especially young stars more than anything, because, you know, LeBron is not going to play forever. Eventually, you're going to need other stars to come up and carry the league. The league's going to lose a lot of interest when LeBron retires, because he is larger than the league. So you want to early now develop that foundation of having a lot of these young players, you know, start to shine. So criticizing them on big games is not the way to go.
No, and I think Shaq, a lot of the time when he's criticizing these players, he talks about, but they haven't won anything. Like, they haven't translated that into team success. And like, if you look at Shaq's career, the first 8-9 years of his career, he didn't win anything either. You know, so he's got to understand. Obviously, he went on to win all those trophies, but first 8-9 years, even with Michael Jordan, early years of his career, the Bulls weren't even making the playoffs. And when they were, they were getting eliminated in first rounds. So,
and you didn't have Skip Bayless on TV every day talking about how every game of Shaq's career was like legacy defining and things like that. So you didn't have that extra scrutiny. You didn't have the Twitter. You know, there's a lot that goes into it. So you already have these casual fans that you know, they feel a lot more connected to the game because of their access to these stars, you can, if you pester a player enough, as you see with KD, you can get him to respond to you, and that access wasn't there back in the day. So there's already too much access there. So you need at least the players knowing to push the game forward. You need these older players to push the game forward because no one else is going to do it for them.
Yeah, and as you said, LeBron isn't going to stick around forever, and the NBA kind of has to usher in that next phase of the league. And if the TNT boys are constantly shitting on the superstars, that's not going to help the image of those players. But yeah, Shaq's been on his bullshit this season, man. He needs to chill. I don't know what's wrong with that guy this season. He needs to take a step back. But
it was so uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it was one of the most awkward videos I've seen.
He didn't even start with oh, great game, but it was it was like a passing comment at the end, like, oh, I love your game at the end after so. And it's a weird criticism as well because
maybe he just worded it wrong. Who knows? But
yeah. Because I saw questions about his playoff success, but I mean, his rookie season went head to head with the MVP, the former reigning MVP, and then his losses were. I mean, I wouldn't hold any of his losses against him. I mean, maybe there was a year against the Rockets that he didn't play well, but that's the same Rockets team that dueled with the Warriors in 7, and then they blew that 3-1 lead, but that's hardly down to him. So
yeah.
It's strange.
And
especially with a team like the Jazz, who their fans have got to be pissed because they're one of the hottest teams in the league right now, and they're not getting any positive attention based on that. And so now when they finally get the spotlight,
people are talking, about the Jazz more because of this incident than because of what they've done on the court, which is sad. Obviously, they're a small market team, but they're on the hottest streak in the NBA right now, the hottest team in the league right now. And because of Shaq's comments, that's all people can talk about regarding them.
I haven't seen a Jazz highlight on my timeline.
Yeah, for real.
This whole time. So it's not the greatest way to display your product, because even the Bucks, as soon as Giannis signed his extension, like the coverage of the Bucks diminished dramatically.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I feel like I hadn't seen them much up until yesterday's game against the Lakers. Really.
This brings.
I think there might have been a game against maybe the Warriors, but that's it really.
This brings me to another point about big market versus small market teams. You're seeing how the Wizards have been forced to miss all this time. But do you think things would have been handled differently if this was, say, a Lakers or a Clippers or Warriors, maybe? Do you think the NBA would have forced them to put some players on the court, unlike the Wizards, who they've let have this time off?
Nah, I don't even think the Wizards got the worst of it, because I think internally they prefer it this way. I think who was getting the worst of it at the start was the 76ers, who they were forced to play games. I mean, they had their eight players that were eligible to play. One of which was injured. Actually, they had to have him come in just to suit up for the warm up, just to sit on the bench because he was injured, and they made him play. Meanwhile, they have all these other teams postponing games, so that was a strange situation. But it is possible though that because the Wizards, I'm not sure if they even had any national TV games. No, they don't have any national TV games scheduled, so that has to take a role in it. Because, for example, if it was the Lakers and they had their game against the Bucks and they had 7 players, including LeBron and AD, there's no way the
NBA would have postponed that game.
Yeah, they would not have. So
that
is interesting.
It's like the same thing with the Nets. If the Nets were in a similar situation, because they're the hottest thing to watch on TV right now, there's no way they would have, they probably would have got the kit man to suit up and sit on the end of the bench to make up the numbers. But, that's, and the NBA has been really lenient with the Wizards as well. I heard their last game, they were expected to play it. They had the numbers, but Bradley Beal and the team made the decision that because they hadn't been practicing. So they made the decision.
But it'd be a risk of injury though, yeah.
Yeah.
Big injury risk.
But what I'm saying, a team like the Lakers probably wouldn't get afforded that luxury.
That's true, but then also if Bradley Beal has the power to say that, then you have to think LeBron definitely has the power to say I'm not. And if LeBron says he's not playing, if LeBron was healthy but his whole team was in like a protocol situation and he said he wasn't playing, the league might have like suspended the whole season for a bit until they're ready, honestly. But yeah, that definitely plays a role.
Well, let's move on from some negative news to some more positive, upbeat news. And we got to talk about the man of the hour right now.
Well, positive for Cavs fans, maybe not Nets fans.
I mean, it's positive for the NBA fan.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Great.
Colin Sexton going off for 42 in a double overtime win against the newly assembled super team Brooklyn Nets, who were debuting their big three for the first time. Kyrie Irving making only a second appearance in the Cleveland arena since he left the franchise. And Colin Sexton ruined his welcome back party.
In his jersey, in his shoes.
In his shoes.
Oof.
And he hit
in his moves as
I
well.
was going to say that sidestep three. What a game from Colin Sexton. Wow. That was one of the, he caught fire in overtime. He scored 20 straight for the Cavaliers. And it's not like the Nets big three didn't turn up. Kyrie scored 37. KD was 30 plus. James Harden had a triple double. So, they couldn't do much more. But I think what you're seeing, especially from that game, is that, yes, the Nets will score regardless, but they're also going to get scored on a hell of a lot. That's going to be their real Achilles heel this season. They gave up a lot of defense with this trade to acquire James Harden, and no doubt everyone knows this is a deal you had to do. But that could come back to bite them, especially in the playoffs. Where the intensity ramps up a bit and people start to attack weaknesses, and you find out more about the opponent's defense. So, and Jarrett Allen actually looked really good in his Cavs debut. He was playing clutch time minutes over Andre Drummond. JB Bickerstaff obviously saw something in Allen that he didn't see in Drummond. Drummond did have a bit of a poor game, to be fair. He was kind of forcing up shots, and I think he was trying to ride his hot hand from that 30-20 night that he had recently. But Jarrett Allen looked really good. Jarrett Allen is a guy who knows exactly how to play his role, won't stray from that too much. He'll grab rebounds, he'll block shots, and he'll do, he's that perfect piece you want on a successful team that will do what it takes to win. He's not going to play any hero ball because that's not in his game at all. He's just going to do his job down to a T. But how are you reacting to that Colin Sexton OT performance, Josh?
So for Colin Sexton, I'm so happy for him and the Cavs. They've been performing at a high level this season, and they just haven't had the stage. I mean, they've been playing well. They've been must-see TV, but having a national, well, it wasn't even national TV, was it? But just having a game of that profile against a team like the Nets really gave him a stage, and he took advantage of it. But going back to the Nets though, definitely just pretty much highlighted everything we said last episode about their potential struggles, defense and depth. Just to put the depth in perspective, the Nets had 10 points off the bench from just two players, whereas the Cavs had 33. So it's going to be hard to win games like that. I mean, depth doesn't become as important when it gets to the playoffs, but even in the playoffs, having that little depth is an issue. Like they don't really. I mean, Harris had an off night, to be fair, for his standards. Yeah. He was 2 for 10 and 2 for 7 from three. But you're gonna need a lot more than that. You can't really depend on. I mean, Luau's had a couple decent games, but relying on him as a to be Lou Will or something like that, that's not gonna work out. So they have to address it. They do have a little bit of salary cap left. They're gonna need to. That's going to go straight to depth and the bench and defense, of course. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people overreacting though, saying, "Oh, trade Kyrie for depth, trade Kyrie for defense." They're gonna work it out. Harden looked very timid though.
Yeah,
very timid.
I know.
He's definitely trying to prove that he can make it work and make it fit. Kyrie was not timid at all. He shot 30 shots in his first game back. But yeah, they're gonna need to see where people fall in that pecking order. It's starting to look like Harden will be that, more of the facilitator.
Yeah.
But he does need to do a bit more, because not just when he's on court with Kyrie and KD, but also as they start to stagger their minutes, it seemed that when he was with that bench unit, he still wasn't attacking as much. And you need him in those minutes to be Rockets James Harden, where he take that time to just completely dominate the ball, completely dominate everything, set up other people, because their bench, like there's no shot creation on their bench at all. So he needs to completely take over in those moments. Those are those moments where he can get that rhythm as he's used to. So, but they'll definitely, the offense they'll figure out 100%. They've got Mike D'Antoni and they've got 3 superstars at that. But yeah, that bench and the defense will be an issue.
Well, I'm not even sure it's a thing of figuring it out. I think it's already kind of falling into place already. They're scoring a ton of points. But I get what you mean. James Harden does have to be a bit more aggressive when all 3 are on the court. First half especially, I think he took 2 shots, which isn't what we've come to expect from Harden at all. That, in fact, that's
even 14 and a double overtime for Harden. That's wild.
And I don't think I would mind seeing James Harden take up that playmaker role. In fact, I think that would fit the Nets down to the ground.
He probably is the best he's definitely the best playmaker on the team.
But I think by far he's the best playmaker.
By far, yeah.
I think you've got to build this offense around Kevin Durant, because no matter what system Kevin Durant has been putting in his career, he's fit wherever, and I think he'll fit in whatever system. That's how good he is as a scorer. So that's going to be the guarantee for the Nets this season. If you need a bucket, KD's there. It's just those 2 other pieces. How can they complement KD, and how can KD complement them? That's what they got to figure out. That's obviously going to come with time.
Another thing, though, is with that depth, particularly at the center position, they've got a lot of minutes with Jeff Green playing center, which I feel bad for him, because he definitely left the Rockets thinking, I won't have to play center again, and then ends up in this situation. But and DeAndre Jordan it's not 2015 anymore. I mean, it looked good at the start, he's catching lobs and things like that, but he doesn't have the same effect on the defensive end.
No.
And he doesn't get quite as high up on his lobs anymore either. The time has to be a lot better with him. But he's not a championship team center. You don't have to have a superstar to be a center. I mean, as you've seen with the Warriors in recent years with all their championships. But now it is more of a necessity with the teams that they're going up against. A lot of these top tier teams, a lot of the contenders have strong center presence and strong big man presence, as you look with the Lakers, with the 76ers, but we'll go over that later. But they need to address that center position, because it is not looking deep at all right now.
Yeah, I think a perfect target that, if I was the next GM, that I would target is JaVale McGee. With the Cavaliers adding Jarrett Allen.
Yeah, take some more from the Cavs, honestly.
But he's fallen even like farther down the pecking order, to the point where he might not even see the floor this season. And JaVale McGee is a guy who's 3-time NBA champion, so he's dependable. He's got the right profile that this Nets team needs, just to be that presence inside. He'll add defense. That seems ideal to me. He won't come very expensive. And then, as you said, with that cap space they've got, they need to add, I think, they do definitely need to add some depth, whether that's, people have been talking about Iman Shumpert. Not sure about that, but their options aren't going to be, it's not going to be luxurious options right now, but they just got to add something.
But that's what you do when you trade for a Harden, though. They clearly see he's worth it. Yeah, I do kind of need JaVale McGee to go there and win and tie Shaq in rings, just to see his reaction.
That would be the omen. Fuck you. The way he's been behaving this season, he deserves it.
He does.
That redemption arc could be crazy. From Shaq to a full MVP to a 4-time NBA champion. Yeah, I hope that happens, man. That would just seem like a perfect fit to me. And he wouldn't, as I said, he wouldn't come too expensive.
And DeAndre Jordan off the bench is not bad at all because
he
can give decent production.
Roster. Keep him on the roster.
He can give decent production, and he's definitely a good veteran presence as well. So
yeah. I just wanted to talk. I feel like we haven't talked about Colin Sexton as much as we probably should have.
Oh, for sure. Let's go.
Going into overtime, had 22 points. Pretty standard night for Colin Sexton going into overtime. Wasn't extremely hot. Was coming back off of that injury, so his minutes were a little bit restricted. Drew that foul on Kyrie, which was subsequently overturned, which I didn't really see how or why that was overturned. It was
the NBA did not want their new big three to lose their first year.
Yeah.
You can see that with a lot of the calls.
That's exactly
what a lot of the calls.
I'm not sure what grounds they even saw to overturn that on. And Colin Sexton even sold it brilliantly with the flop as well. Doing nearly a backflip on that.
The Nets probably only challenged it off of out of desperation. So I don't understand. Yeah.
Well, they had a challenge to use, and it was last second of the game, so they might as well have used it. But no, then when the call's overturned, it goes to a jump ball center circle, and no one can control the tip. So we go to OT, and everyone's thinking, all right, the Nets have strung along the Cavs here, but the fun's over. The Nets are just going to take over in overtime. They've got too much power. They've got too much star power. But Colin Sexton thought otherwise. Dismantling the Cavaliers defense. The one that impressed me the most, obviously he hit all those threes, but the one that impressed me the most, Cedi Osman puts up a three near the end of the first overtime. Or was it in regulation? I can't remember, but it was in the clutch anyway. Cedi Osman puts up a desperation three. They were down by 3, the Cavs at this time. It misses everything, but there's Colin Sexton with the putback reverse to keep it within 1. That was crazy. And then from then on, he went
straight out. He went straight out all of them. He was like, I got buckets for any one of you. Come get them.
Shooting over KD.
He had one for KD, for Kyrie, Harden, whatever, man. Like, what bucket do you want? He was giving out requests. He gave out a menu. He was like, where do you want it? How do you want it? How many points?
Yeah.
He just had anything they could take.
That's the definition of putting the team on your back. And he willed the Cavaliers to that win.
That's that Alabama University Colin Sexton right there.
That's what 3v5 breeds, bro. That's what 3v5 breeds. But yeah, Colin Sexton, this is really looking like his breakout year. He's playing at, maybe not all-star because the East is stacked with guards, but any other year he'd be in contention.
I cannot even stress how happy I feel for him because going into the season, I saw there was executives that the famous anonymous executives with their quotes, and a few of them came together to say that they thought that he'd work better as a 6th man, and that he wasn't a star in this league. So he's definitely coming with a chip on his shoulder and proving them wrong.
For sure. And
the Cavs have a bright future. The Cavs without LeBron having a bright future, that's insane.
And you remember with when the Cavs drafted Darius Garland, tons and tons of question marks were raised with how can a 6-1 guard pairing work in the NBA? But those two are both having incredible seasons, and the Cavaliers are one of the top defensive teams in the league. So it's clearly not altering them on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they could end up being the Blazers of the East.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, if you're
their defense is incredible. Their defense is
their defense is amazing.
But that goes to the Nets as well because their defense is incredible, but their offense is definitely not 147 point offense at all. So
the Nets really do have to figure out their defense. But then at the same time, I still don't see any team in the East at this moment beating the Nets in a 7-game series.
Not the Sixers.
No, I think they're too reliant on Joel Embiid, and I feel like Joel Embiid. I feel like Joel Embiid always starts the season well. Maybe not this well, but he always starts the season well and kind of.
Nah, I feel he had an off season last year, but the season before when they had Jimmy Butler, he was balling.
Yeah, but I don't see.
It looks like he's back to form.
I feel like Ben Simmons has been off the pace to start.
I think it definitely hit him. I think it definitely because there was a report that the Sixers had pretty much like come to an agreement with the Rockets.
Yeah,
and they informed Ben Simmons and was it Matisse
Thybulle? I thought it was Tyrese.
Tyrese Maxey's informed their agents and everything. So that's got to be sitting on his mind as well.
To be fair, after that news came out, why did they not take that deal? The Rockets.
They might. Yeah, that's weird. They might have just leaked that for more leverage.
Yeah, that was because if that was actually on the table, then that seems like a way better trade than what.
Much better trade. Much better trade.
But yeah, shout out Colin Sexton, man. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite guys in the NBA. And please continue this form because you're also in my fantasy team. So, I just want to talk about that. He had like 28 coming into at the end of regulation, 28 fantasy points, and he ends the night with like 58 or something.
Yeah, I felt all of them.
Yeah, just want to say to people, I'm absolutely demolishing Josh this week in fantasy.
Hey, remember what happened last time, all right?
Yeah, but it wasn't. That was close. This is a blowout.
Nah, but no, but I don't think I'm coming back this week. But you were actually blowing me out last time on Wednesday, midweek. Yeah, pretty sure. You were up by at least 100 midweek.
But now I'm getting my guys back. Now I'm getting my guys back because
now all of my guys are gone, man. I'm on my full stringers now. Like guys, I had to pick up Kelly Oubre on my like for anyone that does fantasy. Actually, no, for anyone that's watched any NBA this season, like
Mr. 19%.
He gave me a solid 11 yesterday. So
hey, that's what you can ask for from Kelly, man.
Man.
Yeah, but shout out Colin Sexton, man, and the Cavaliers. I mean, if you're a new NBA fan, trying to get into watching the NBA, I would definitely recommend to tune into a team like the Cavs. Yeah. One of the most entertaining watches in the NBA right now.
Allen should make his way onto the starting lineup eventually as well.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, actually, that's a good question because Drummond's having
he's inspiring dude.
Drummond's having a good year. So
it would have to be if they weren't making the playoffs, then they'd probably just completely commit to that. But yeah, it's a weird dynamic there.
Well, right now they look on pace for the playoffs. I mean, it could just be a hot start. This happens quite frequently with young teams, but
But I mean, we are quarter of the way through the season now, so it's getting to that decent point of having a decent level of
consistency.
Yeah, like sample size. We're getting a decent level of sample size right now at this point. So, but we'll see if it continues. Yeah.
Also, with Garland and Sexton now, the Cavaliers didn't fall off at all, really.
Yeah, I think the reason why I trust them to continue this way is because they're relying on defense, which is a consistent, sustainable thing. It's not hot shooting. It's not anything like that. It's their defense, that's just a foundational thing that can carry them throughout. Kind of like how the Magic have been decent the last few years off their defense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to move into the main topic now of today's episode. And me and Josh have decided we're going to take you through our top 10 NBA teams in our power rankings. We've kind of agreed on a similar, we're going to do like a joint power rankings. We kind of agreed that both our lists are similar. So we're just going to give them to you as one. We're going to start from 10 upwards and take you through each team, what they've been like this season. So starting swiftly at the number 10 spot, we have the Denver Nuggets. The Denver Nuggets currently sit in 10th in the Western Conference, which was actually not as low as I thought. That's why I put them in at 10. But they're 7-7 right now, only a game out of that 8th seed. The Nuggets, they've got Jokic playing at MVP level, but the bubble MVP, Jamal Murray, hasn't really got going yet. And that's affecting them quite a lot. Obviously, they lost Michael Porter Jr. to, first of all, the COVID protocols, and then he actually contracted the virus himself. So they've been missing that third scorer as well. The Nuggets have had a disappointing season so far, but they still find our way into our top 10. What's impressed you? What's disappointed you about the Nuggets this season, Josh?
Yeah, obviously we have to start with Jokic, as you said.
Yeah.
He's on another level right now. Embiid is playing very well this season as well, but I still see Jokic as the best center in the league right now.
Yeah, he's averaging a triple-double from the center spot.
He's averaging triple-double, tremendous efficiency. You know, he's on my fantasy squad. He's an automatic 60 right now.
Yeah, man.
It's just effortless with him. He is the team. They run everything through him as the number one playmaker. He's a point center. And he's just been, as bad as they've started, he's just kind of carried. They're 6-4 in the last 10, so they're going in the right direction. They still don't have Michael Porter Jr., I don't think.
He's questionable for tonight's game. So
yeah, but and then obviously you've got Jamal Murray, who's not playing quite at that level that he was back in the bubble. Inconsistency has been a thing with him in the last couple of years, and you'd hope that he was going to be able to, ride off that momentum that he had built up with those performances that he had in the bubble. But it's not been the case so far. Hopefully he can come, he can have a bit of a come up. He showed flashes last week, but this one's more of a potential thing, and how they played in the last 10 games.
Yeah.
But up to this point, their season's been fairly disappointing so far. A lot of people had them, being a top 2, top 3 seed, which is where we're accustomed to seeing them in the standings.
Yeah, definitely. And as we mentioned on previous podcasts, they've really missed the length. It sounds mad, I know, but just bear with me. The length on the defense.
You really didn't even have to say that. You could have just said defense, bro.
No, but that's Jeremy Grant's one of his main attributes. So I felt like I had to say it.
They're really listening to defense.
I'm talking about his arms and his height. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It felt like you wanted. Like you wanted to say something sus. Like you went out of your way to be sus there.
No, I didn't. Right. But I think they're really missing a guy like Jeremy Grant. Paul Millsap isn't quite. I've got to say, bro.
Nah, just say
he's not built. He's not built like Jeremy Grant, is what I'm trying to say. Physically, so he doesn't bring the same things to the table, and I think they've missed that. Obviously, they missed Michael Porter Jr., but we all expect them to kind of skyrocket up the standings right now. I see them still finishing around 4, 5, 6 seed. So I think they're too talented for us not to have them in the power rankings, and they haven't been awful. Like they're not Raptors awful start to the season. So that's why they make it in at our.
They're on the uptick, definitely. I mean, they were looking bad a month ago, but they're definitely on the rise.
Coming in at the number 9 spot, just above the Denver Nuggets, we have the Indiana Pacers, who obviously were just involved in that big trade, acquiring Karis LeVert, who unfortunately had that mass discovered on his kidney, which may keep him out for the season, which is being reported right now.
Prayers to him.
Yeah, man.
It's very unfortunate.
I hope that's not serious.
But I mean, thank God that the trade went through, because he might not have found out as early as he could have. So, that's a silver lining there.
Yeah, he even said that himself. He said he didn't feel anything, or he didn't know it was there. So that
he found it early. That's the best thing that could have happened.
But despite that, and despite trading Victor Oladipo, they've lost their last 2, but they make every game competitive, and they're led behind their 2 stars, who are not conventional stars by any means, Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis. Sabonis has been incredible this year.
Sabonis is an all-star.
Sabonis is definitely.
Last year, he was an all-star last year, and a lot of people were like, he's a fringe all-star, but he's really cementing himself as a legitimate, top big man in this league. He's a
2015 machine, on great efficiency all the time as well. And I think you could even make a case for Malcolm Brogdon being an all-star.
Absolutely. This season so far, for sure, 100%.
I mean, Malcolm Brogdon was known as before the season is kind of the steady guy who stole Joel Embiid's Rookie of the Year trophy, but this season he's showing that he's a fantastic basketball player. He's leading him along with Sabonis. It feels like one of those teams where you can't identify the star. It's like it feels like a team. If you get what I'm saying. There's not one guy playing hero.
Yeah, they're benefiting off a culture that's long lasted in Indiana. Like they're always competitive. Every year you just expect, a more talented team to be up there in the standings, but they always arise. They always seem to find a way to get home court advantage every season. But with Brogdon though, that is definitely something that was on my mind. With when Giannis's free agency situation was up in the air, because I feel like they made a terrible decision making that decision to choose Eric Bledsoe over Malcolm Brogdon, and that was a thing at the time, not even hindsight. Because he did quite a lot for them back then. But yeah, he's a tremendous playmaker. He's shown that more now with Oladipo gone. I think they have the culture there to be able to carry on like this. I don't think it's a fluke. I think Sabonis is really just they're both of them are established themselves in the league as legit right now.
Yeah. And it would have been nice to see Karis LeVert in this lineup, but there's no feelings of their playoff position is jeopardized because he's not there. People know that Brogdon and Sabonis are going to carry on this form and carry the Pacers into the playoffs. And
they always seem to have someone step up. I mean, even last year when Oladipo was dealing with his injury issues, you had TJ Warren.
Yeah. Oh, and they're missing TJ Warren as well.
All bubble team TJ. All bubble first team TJ Warren. So they always they have a culture of that next man up culture, and they always seem to put a competitive product on the floor.
But yeah, they're missing TJ Warren, who's going to be out for a long time as well, having surgery, and then you got Miles Turner, who's blocking everything right now. So they've got a really good squad down there in Indiana. It's, as you said, it's defined by that culture. They're always going to be a team. It's one of those teams that's always going to be there or thereabouts. They're always competitive. They're fun to watch as well. They're fun to watch. You think a team led by Sabonis, who's kind of a fundamentals guy, wouldn't be that, but they move the ball well, and credit to the Pacers, man, for being up there. Just above the Pacers, we're going back to the Western Conference for our number 8 spot in the power rankings. We've got the Phoenix Suns, who started the season on absolute fire, but have since cooled down a little bit. Obviously adding Chris Paul in that trade with OKC, a much needed natural playmaker in that team. But he seems to have slowed the game down a bit for the Suns. They're a team known for their fast breaks and their transition offense, but their approach with Chris Paul in the lineup seems to be a bit more methodical. Devin Booker is currently having quite a hard time adjusting to that. He's not been terrible by any means, but he's not been the Devin Booker we know. But this is obviously, I feel like you insert Chris Paul into any team, he's going to bring that winning culture. That leader, he's obviously a born leader, being the head of the NBPA, the Players Association. The Suns team definitely can, get back into the playoffs, which is where they haven't been for a long time.
They definitely had a hot start. I was going to talk as well about how Chris Paul is slowing the pace down. Chris Paul is one of them signings where obviously he had a tremendous regular season last year as well, but for this team, his biggest effects on this team is bringing that winning culture, helping them ride into the playoffs, but then also the development of Ayton. Ayton is definitely the player that's benefiting the most from the acquisition of Chris Paul. He's just putting him in the right places where he's showing off that all-star potential. But yeah, Devin Booker, he hasn't taken that next step from last season. I think he'll get used to it. He'll adapt. He's a talented player. But right now, the pace is definitely an issue for them right now.
Yeah.
Strange because last season, although there were moments, obviously, with Chris Paul, that's just his style of play, he'd slow things down, but we still were able to play at a decent pace last year, the Thunder, but with Dennis Schroeder and things. But I guess because Chris Paul is their only, true playmaker, he just sets the tone and the pace for everyone. And they don't really have like someone else to, like a Schroeder, like Shea, to bring a different element to them. So they are struggling, they're having growing pains because even though, they added quite a few vets, they added Chris Paul, they added
Jay Crowder.
So there's a bit of adjustment there. And there's some habits there that needs to be broken, of a young team. So they should trend back upwards. Like we probably, I'm pretty sure we said when we addressed them, maybe last episode or the episode before, that they likely won't, finish top 2, but they will have the group where they'll be a solid, playoff team.
And Mikal Bridges has really emerged as the glue guy on this roster. He's got such defensive upside, and he's the primary defender on this team, and he hits his shots when he's open. That's what you really want from a player of his role. So players like that, they've got a much more well-rounded roster this year, which has also helped.
A lot of players got confidence from that bubble run, that undefeated run that they had, and that's where we start to see signs of them moving towards bigger roles and Mikal Bridges over Kelly Oubre, who they then traded. So they're definitely playing off that, which rode them into a hot start at the start of the season. But now they're starting to get tested a bit more, and they should come through it.
But this is a testament also to having patience as well, because like going back to what we said about Shaq, talking about you have to win and all this, and people being very quick to put players down if they have a few seasons where they don't win. I can't remember exactly who said it, but there was someone who said, I think it was Draymond Green. Draymond Green said, we have to rescue Devin Booker from Phoenix, because obviously the first years of Devin Booker's Phoenix career have been filled with not making the playoffs or just missing out. And he was saying to the media, we have to rescue Devin Booker. He's too good to not be on a playoff team. But it just goes to show, bide your time, have faith in the front office, and sometimes your fortunes can turn around.
I understand that. I do think that's case to case though, because there are front offices that do not deserve your trust. As we saw with,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Because the Suns have not had a good front office in a while. They got James Jones, who's doing a tremendous job right now, building around Devin Booker. But before, they a lot of Suns fans. I've got a friend that's a Suns fan. Will tell you about their owner. I think his name is Robert Sava, who is quite bad, and they've been wanting him out there for a while. Same kind of situation with the Knicks.
But I feel like the quality of owner in the NBA is going up. I feel like they're getting smart.
I just think that more of them are just allowing their, giving more autonomy to their front offices. Because I think the best owners are just the owners that aren't stingy and just allow their experts to make the decisions rather than thinking that they're the best opinion in the room. Because obviously these owners are billionaires, they have big egos. They run their own businesses, so they think they're the most knowledgeable person in the room at all times. But that's not always the case in basketball. So, because I think a big motivation for the deal that the Rockets did end up doing was money. A lot of Harden wanting out, Westbrook wanting out was to do with their owner Tillman Fertitta making financial decisions rather than basketball decisions, letting go of the coaching, letting go of the GMs over financial issues. So, and with the Thunder, letting James Harden go over, issues of luxury tax and things like that. So you want your owners to just be able to just commit, but then also trust their front offices. So, there are a lot of, because obviously these lottery picks who end up being the best players in the league, they go to the worst teams. That's how it works. So And a lot of these worst teams are always the worst run teams as well. So you shouldn't always, unconditionally, wait it out. But there are some situations where patience does work. Yeah.
Let's move to our next team in the power rankings and in the number 7 spot. I feel like this is quite low for this team, but they've had a few issues. It's the Milwaukee Bucks coming in above the Suns. The Bucks are playing at an all-time offensive rate right now. The best offense in Bucks history, I'm pretty sure. But they're still having that problem of closing out games. You saw it against the Nets. You saw it last night against the Lakers, where the Lakers just started to pull away. This is going to be the big question mark for this team. Obviously, Giannis isn't the type of superstar that's fit kind of to close games. Chris Middleton has been on fire this season. 50-40-90 club. He looks better every time you watch him. But saying that, the next step in his game is going to be become that closer for the Bucks. It does feel a bit harsh having them this low down, but I feel like the teams above them have just been on fire. So, the Bucks haven't been bad by any means. They sit in third in the Eastern Conference so far, but it's just those question marks will always keep presenting themselves. Can they win big games and can they close out big games? And that's always going to come back to Mike Budenholzer.
Absolutely. That's the first point I wanted to go on. So, I think they've made the necessary decision. They wanted to do more. They wanted to get Bogdanovic, but they weren't able to. But still, I think some of their issues have been, Giannis is used to being the playmaker, and he's kind of surrendering that role more to Jrue Holiday. But I think that's going to be great for them in the long run. Middleton's made the next step. I think he's getting better, and I think that will work for them. But, I'm at the point where I feel like Budenholzer has to go. I don't think he's going to be the team to take them, to put them above. You have that last play with the Nets. Giannis is in the backcourt, nowhere near the play.
Yeah.
And the best shot they can get is a highly contested corner shot, double pump 3 from Middleton in the corner.
That was a really weird play.
Meanwhile, you have, Giannis running in, cutting in. I mean,
trying to get a putback, I assume that was the plan.
Yeah, but he was open for a second as well. But even if you drew it up for him to be open there, putting Middleton in that position in the corner, that's just not, you're not going to be able to see or get a clean pass in there. So it was so strange. It was strange in every way. His adjustments, I mean, every time we talk about Budenholzer, we talk about adjustments. He doesn't make adjustments. Teams, I mean, they don't even have to wait for the playoffs anymore. Teams are starting to, use the wall method with Giannis in the regular season games as well, the whole season. And 3 years in, he hasn't got a plan for it. You'd think that, as much as, we tell Giannis, you need to work on your jump shot every summer. Budenholzer should be spending each and every day coming up with a plan for how to, counteract this method. Because if you have a superstar like that, a player that's considered a top 5 player, there shouldn't be a defense that completely neutralizes him. Mm-hmm. So I just don't think Budenholzer is going to put them above. And I think, Giannis just signed this contract, but unless they want a Harden type situation down the line, if they want him to see out his entire contract, he needs to finish his contract with a new coach.
Yeah, I will say though, Jrue Holiday has been a really nice addition for this team.
Addition, yeah.
I mean, we all know about Jrue Holiday on the defensive end. He's touted by his fellow professionals as the best guard defender in the league. But I really like what he's given them on offense as well. I feel like he's got a quite well-rounded offensive skill set, and the Bucks have needed that. Bledsoe was not providing that, especially in the playoffs. He was terrible.
Jrue is playoff tested. I mean that series against the against the Blazers was like a masterclass on both ends. So, he's been a tremendous pickup.
I really like that they kept DiVincenzo as well. I know they were going to trade him for Bogdan Bogdanovic, that guy.
Donovan,
I know they were going to trade him for him, but I think it's a blessing in disguise that trade fell through.
Yeah, he's been almost equal offensive value, but way better on the defensive end.
Yeah. They've got a really good roster over there in Milwaukee. No one's disputing that, and I think it actually might help them now that the Nets have this new super team. I think it might help them going into the playoffs that all eyes aren't on them. Last year, the expectation of the Bucks was make to the conference finals. I think them being under the radar and the underdogs may help them, because I feel like Giannis. No, this is just an observation looking for the outside in, but I feel like he buys into a lot of narratives he sees in the media. Like, I feel like a lot of those things get to him. That's the reason we see him taking these mid ranges and these threes when he doesn't have to, because the media is telling him to. But then the media is also slating him when he does take them. So that can't be easy.
That's what. It might be getting to his head, but at the end of the day, he does need to make that progression, and he can't just work on it in the summer and then first game hit 5 threes and then just keep going like that. It is going to be progression. There's going to be some ugly misses, but at the end of the day, he just needs to keep up with it. But I still think pressure or not, if Budenholzer can't adjust and he can't use, they should be using. As soon as they lost to the Heat, one of the first things I said was they have to completely change the way they approach every regular season. They have to make that kind of adjustment that the Warriors made after they won their 73-9 and then lost. Is that they need to look at regular seasons as practice, because they know they're going to finish up there anyway. Like LeBron with the Cavs, they knew whatever seed we are, we're going to make it. We're going to go deep in the playoffs. So they need to be addressing these issues that they're having. It should never, they should not get knocked out by surprise by, coming up with a wall defense on Giannis. They need to find ways to deal with that. But I don't trust Budenholzer at all in that situation at all. Yeah. It's kind of like a Mark Jackson type situation where they kind of needed Steve Kerr to come in and add a new element to their offense.
Where's Jason Kidd working at the moment?
He's on the Lakers staff, I think, but I don't think he's the one. I don't think he's the guy. Okay. He was with him before.
Yeah, I was just thinking because he knows that roster, doesn't he? So, he knows parts of that roster. So, but I'm not sure who they would hire, but they do need to address that soon, because they've given Giannis all this money, so Budenholzer is the next one up on the chopping block. They can't really pin their blame on the man they've just given all that money to. So all that's gonna fall on Mike Budenholzer's shoulders now. And if they continue in this manner, it hasn't been a bad start to the season, but a lot of themes that we saw last season are continuing into this season. So we'll see how that develops with Mike Budenholzer, and he's got a history of doing this with the Hawks as well. Leading a fantastic regular season team, but not being able to translate that.
He's had 3 first seeds. No, not just 3 first seeds. 3 60-win teams.
Yeah.
2 on pace for 70. So there's only so many chances you can get.
Just a side note, I've just got a notification on my phone that Isaac has just offered me in the fantasy league De'Aaron Fox for Anthony Davis. Okay, let's move into our.
I can't even do trades with you guys, man. All of you are unserious candidates when it comes to trades.
I'm so glad.
I saw one.
I'm so glad I did that BAM trade with Manus now. I'm so glad.
Nah, I saw. On a more serious note, though, I saw a notification that KD will be sitting out tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because obviously coming back from the injury, they are still being slightly conservative, and he did play 50 minutes the other night.
We'll talk about the Nets more in a second, because they're coming up on our power rankings. But going into our next spot, in 5th position is the Boston Celtics. Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
Sorry, in 6th.
No, they are.
They're in 6th. Wait, how many teams they put down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're doing sixth. Yeah, sixth.
Yes.
Sixth seed in our rankings is the Boston Celtics, who currently sit second in the Eastern Conference, but that's only on win percentage because they've missed a few games because of protocol and all that. I just want to say one thing. Jaylen Brown is an all-star. Lock it in. Jaylen Brown. No, we always knew Jaylen Brown was a quality player, but this season he's taken that step. He's just transforming into, he can really be that second. It's not even like a second piece. I feel like him and Jason Tatum are really close in terms of quality, and they complement each other's game well. They know how to play together. I saw a video which says they have a great relationship off the court as well, so that can only help. The Celtics look good, man. The Celtics look real good. They've obviously missed Jason Tatum for the last few games, which is where Jaylen Brown has really come to the forefront. But the only thing that worries me with the Celtics is their center position. If they come up against the Sixers, say, in the playoffs, Joel Embiid's going to have 50 a night. They don't have that Joel Embiid stopper, which they've had in the past with Al Horford and Aaron Baines used to play good defense on Joel Embiid. So they don't have that anymore, which is a big question mark. But how have you felt about the Celtics this season?
Oh, now with that, the Presti would be happy to give them Horford back for a first round pick for sure, 100%. We can make some arrangements. They've been pretty great. Definitely the emergence of Jaylen Brown. He's taken another step to the point where that definitely rises their ceiling. Because Tatum was already taking that step last season, and he started to separate himself from him and Gordon Hayward last year in the pecking order. So now Jaylen Brown's making a similar thing. It'll be interesting to see how, because has Kemba Walker played? Yeah,
he's played 2 games. The first game he was terrible. Second game he was okay. He's played 2 games. The first game was in that blowout lost to the Knicks, and he was terrible.
It would be interesting to see because as much as people joking about trade Kyrie for depth, you'd have to think that maybe Marcus Smart is a better fit with them too if you have that much offense anyway, and you might want to get more defense and a big rather than having Kemba.
Yeah.
But Jaylen Brown's emergence has been incredible. We already knew he was a quality player on both ends, but he's just displaying different offensive skills that we didn't even see in the past. He's moving like Jason Tatum. He's putting moves together, and he's showing that the Celtics do have firepower, and they're a tremendous young core.
Yeah,
a top duo in the East.
Well, obviously they've struggled a bit since Tatum's missed these games, but when they come back together, those two, I expect them to really kick on and get a very a top 3 seed. I think they can definitely aim for that. I just want to talk about the thing I said about Embiid dropping 50 on them. He did literally drop 42 on them last night. So that just kind of proves my point. I didn't even know that. But yeah, that seems like an ideal scenario to me with what you said about Kemba. He had a better game last night, to be fair to him. But if, I don't think offense is going to be this team's problem. I think, that center spot will need to be filled some way if they have serious aspirations this year.
He did not look great last playoffs either.
No.
At all. So.
All right, let's move swiftly into our next team. In our 5th seed, perhaps a bit low, but this is where we see fit for them so far. The Brooklyn Nets, the talking point of the league right now, for obvious reasons. They've only had 1 game so far with a fully fit Kyrie, KD, and Harden, which is obviously a tough loss. Nevertheless, it was a loss. I think if we revisit these power rankings in a month or 2 time, they would have shot up this list. But right now, the question marks, as we've mentioned the episode about the defense, about the depth, are gonna keep presenting themselves and keep being asked. And Steve Nash, you know, that's a hard question for a young coach to come up with the answer for. And Mike D'Antoni's not known for his defensive prowess either. So this could be a problem I see playing the Brooklyn Nets for a lot of this upcoming season. But come on, their talent is undeniable. 3 MVP caliber players on one roster. As I said before, we've tuned into the Cavs. If you're a new NBA fan, tune into the Nets as well, because they give up a lot of points. They score a lot of points.
Every new NBA fan's a Nets fan anyway now. So
yeah,
I'm like, sure they are.
It's like when I first started watching basketball, and everyone in my school first started watching basketball, everyone was Clipper Nation because of the Lob City days. That's just how it seems to go. The successful team will have all the bandwagons, but I feel like they've had two of the game of the seasons so far. That game with the Bucks and that game with the Cavs. So yeah, they're must-watch television. But as it goes with results right now, there's still some things they've got to work out.
Yeah, I haven't got much to add. We've talked about them a lot.
Let's not dwell too much.
KD's gonna KD. The others, let's see how they fit.
Just talking about KD real quick. The way that guy has come back and maybe looks like the best version of himself ever at his age, after the injuries coming off, surely this guy is not human.
The last time I saw him produce like this was when he was playing for us in 24. Well, he's had years where he's been as good, but just the amount, like he's averaging 31 right now.
Yeah.
Tremendous efficiency. He's hit daggers on daggers like all season now. As a Mr. Beat, this is defying like medical science right now. The way he's playing. I mean, we're gonna be talking about him every time we bring up, Achilles injuries now. We're gonna be giving up him and Hakeem. It's insane.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to our next team. In the number 4 spot, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, who have obviously had that crazy time with all their players being out because of protocol. Only being able to field 7 players, but doesn't seem like it's affected their record at all. They currently sit atop the Eastern Conference at 10-5, and Joel Embiid is getting a lot of shouts for MVP this year. He's been in unstoppable form.
He's gone back. He's reverted back to like last year, as I said, he had a down year, but that year before where he was averaging upwards of like 28. He's back to that type of form. Being dominant again. He's even shooting better from 3 now. He's carrying them right now because they're not getting too much from Ben Simmons currently.
Yeah, and I want to give a quick shout out to two players on that team. Shake Milton has been fantastic for that team, averaging 17 off the bench, when I think he only averaged 9 last year. So he's definitely a candidate for most improved player and 6th man of the year. He's doing it on crazy efficiency as well. And rookie Tyrese Maxey, 21st pick, and he's slotted straight into that starting lineup. He reminds me of kind of a jar type, one that never takes his foot off the pedal. He's always running about. Seems to have crazy energy that's, propelling the Sixers to some of these wins. But if we're being real, Joel Embiid has got the whole city of Philadelphia on his back right now. It's just a question, as always, with Embiid, for how long he can continue this. Can he continue it for the whole season? I don't think he can. Personally, I don't think he'll be in it.
Depends how much he's taking care of his body, really.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be the MVP when it's all said and done. I think that'll be Kevin Durant. But yeah, they've started out the gates fantastically well, and credit to Doc Rivers for being able to navigate that crazy situation with the 7 players as well as he did. Their record didn't suffer from it too badly. They're 8-1 at home, 2-4 on the road, which isn't so great. But yeah, they really look serious this season.
And speaking of Doc Rivers, he definitely he surely knows how to get the best out of Tobias Harris.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. Well, I should know all about him.
Man,
shout out to Isaac.
See, Isaac tried to finesse you with the De'Aaron Fox and AD to get you back.
Yeah, man. Well, I offered him Tobias back, but he didn't want him. So,
but yeah, he apparently doesn't want him. Okay.
No, to be fair, I did. It was like Tobias for like one of his superstars, but.
No. I know, but he dropped him because he doesn't want him.
Yeah. So no, cool. He wants that flexible spot.
Yeah, so he can pick up LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah.
All right. The 76ers are playing well. To be honest, in that period when the trade talks were ramping up, I assumed that it would be the 76ers that made that deal. What the 76ers had to offer made a lot more sense to me. I think maybe the Rockets were just trying to, do hard and well, kind of how the Thunder were doing with, Chris Paul George, and Westbrook, where they'd kind of work with them to get them to the exact team they want. But the more details that have been leaked, the more I feel like the 76ers had the best
package.
They had the best package for him. And also, I think that would have benefited Ben Simmons a lot more as well. Because with the emergence of Tyrese Maxey and Shake Milton, you're kind of seeing kind of like what happened last year, where he's kind of like losing his play because when they have these other guards that rise up, play a certain way, he kind of defers, and then they kind of play him at like a forward type position, which doesn't take advantage of his full game. So I think it's a mental thing with him. But I'm seeing a lot of people saying he's a bust or saying he hasn't improved, which I think that's a dramatic overreaction because people just don't seem to acknowledge that the defensive side of the floor, which, Simmons came into the league with potential, but he was, an average defender. But right now he might be one of the best, defensive players in the league, one of the best, on ball as well. And as much as we talk about fit with them, with Simmons and Embiid, on the defensive end, they're scary. Them two as a pairing. So that's definitely, and that has an effect on their record. So we can't say that Simmons isn't contributing at all. But yeah, he needs to work out.
I think from what I've seen this season, ever since those trade rumors popped up, he's been really timid with the ball. Passing up drives and. Not wanting the ball in his hands as much as he was once known for. So I think, I do think he's on course to get back to his best form, and that will only help the Sixers. But I think that it was also a clear indication with that trade and with Embiid's form this season. There was always this question of who is the franchise player and who would they commit their future to. I think that trade and obviously the form of Embiid this season has indicated to Ben Simmons that he is not the franchise player on that team. And maybe he's come to terms with that, mentally, whatever. But
definitely has to shake you up though to call your family, say we're moving here, start looking at housing and stuff, and then for it to not go through, because back when the Lakers were trying to acquire Anthony Davis mid-season. A lot of those young players never really recovered from that until they later finally got moved. So it has to shake you a bit.
Yeah,
for sure.
All right, let's move on to number 3 spot in our rankings, and that is a team on form right now in the NBA, the Utah Jazz, led by Donovan Mitchell and Mr. $200 million contract. But they have been scorching the league as of late. They're on a 7-game winning streak, back-to-back wins over the Pelicans, where they just kind of made them look inferior, kind of in every aspect. Obviously, we got to shout out Donovan Mitchell, who's leading that team now well. Started the season a bit shaky, wasn't shooting the ball too well, but now seems to be hitting his mid-season stride. Gobert's doing what Gobert has always done, He plays his game. You know what you're going to get from Gobert. But the rest of that roster is very well-rounded. Jordan Clarkson comes off the bench.
I have to give a shout-out to Jordan Clarkson. He's emerged as a six man of the year type candidate, and he's been playing in that type of form since he arrived then, and really started to show it when he got traded to the Cavs. He's really like creating a lane for himself in the league as that Lou Will type player off the bench. He's doing a lot. He's coming in clutch for me, man. He's one of the rare injury replacements on my team that's actually performing for me. But he's averaging just under 18 a game, so he's providing scoring for them off the bench, taking some pressure off, Donovan Mitchell when needed. So he's definitely been a component to them as well.
Yeah, and I think Jordan Clarkson, when he first came into the league, obviously was deputizing behind Kobe Bryant. Didn't really know what his role or his game was at that stage.
No one had a role on that team, man. It was just feed Kobe the ball and give him a good farewell tour.
But then getting traded to the Cavs, he started to figure that out more. And now I think he knows he's that guy. He's just a scorer, Jordan Clarkson is that guy, like the Lou type. He's going to score for you off the bench. He's gonna give you that added impetus when your team's maybe a bit flat, going through one of those flat periods. He's going to hit a few shots. And they've got Bogdanovic back now as well. Joe Ingles back, who's that glue guy on the roster, that experienced old head. This is I feel like this is a run the Jazz go on every year though. They go on a similar run to this. People talk about.
They do.
People kind of overreact about the Jazz. The Jazz are a very solid playoff team. Don't get me wrong.
One difference though from last year is that they're actually getting production right from the start from Mike Conley, because he started last season terribly. Yeah. He went into quite a big slump, but he started to recover it when they went to the bubble, and he's kind of back to his regular form now.
Yeah. Right, so let's move in to the top two, and both teams play at the Staples Center. But at number two, we've got the LA Clippers. And I feel like the LA Clippers aren't getting talked about at all this year.
At all.
Like, there's no coverage on the Clippers this year, but that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. That's a sign that they're doing what they should be doing. They're currently sitting at 11-4, third in the conference, so they're got a tied record with the Jazz as of now. PG has been sensational, shooting very efficiently. Kawhi has been Kawhiing. You know what you're going to get from Kawhi. They look a similar team to what they were last year. I'll put it that way, but I feel like Paul George is taking a step up. So you add that component. Lou Will hasn't been very good, but apart from that, everyone else has been solid for them. They look good. They look good.
Yeah, I think they just need to address that point guard position. I see a Lou Will trade in the future. Mm-hmm. I don't think he gives them what they need anymore in that sense. But they look good. They're definitely taking a much better approach under Ty Lue. Credit to him. Last season they kind of thought that they could just kind of sleepwalk through the regular season. They thought they only really ever got up for the Lakers. But this season, you've got Kawhi not load managing. You got Paul George playing at great form. His best play since that regular season with the Thunder. But yeah, they're looking good. They're looking like they're in the right mental space to really take it seriously this year. I think it was definitely an eye-opener, the way they performed, the way they crashed out of the playoffs with the Nuggets. So I think I'd find it hard to put a lot of too much faith in them. I need to see it. But they definitely look like a better team this year than last year. So a more focused team.
Nicholas Batum has been a very good pickup for the Clippers. I thought.
Yeah, he was kind of stuck, kind of trapped in Charlotte.
That contract, he got that big contract in him. But he's a very good pickup for them. Tell me what you think of this. All right, we talked earlier about the Celtics need a big man. You've just spoken about how the Clippers need a point guard. What are we saying about a trade centering around Ibaka for Kemba Walker?
No, I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do that?
I don't know if they want to. I don't know if they want to get rid of Ibaka. I feel like Ibaka is going to show his. He's not. That's not the point guard they need. They need like a pure playmaking point guard. They do not need because I saw in the summer, get Westbrook. They do not need a scorer. They do not need any scorers. Last season they had way too many shot creators. They don't need. That's why I would say to get rid of Lou Will, but they don't need. That's not what they need anymore. They need someone they needed kind of like a Chris Paul type player, but obviously his contract was a bit bad. But because I saw Rozier being thrown out, Derrick Rose being thrown out. They need a pure playmaker.
That's a Rubio.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, that leaves us with one team who sit atop our NBA power rankings, and surprise, surprise, it's the reigning champions, the Los Angeles Lakers. They haven't missed a beat, really. They strengthened their roster quite significantly during the offseason. And it's showing, it's paying dividends. It looks like the Lakers sit atop the Western Conference with a 12-4 record. That perfect 8-0 away start, which is the best in franchise history, if I'm not mistaken. And the crazy thing about their start is that LeBron's averaging the least minutes of his career since his rookie season, and AD hasn't really even been AD yet. And they're still playing fantastic basketball.
Yeah, it's highly impressive. It's highly impressive the way they've come out this season. A lot. Myself, I thought that they'd come out a bit slow. They take a kind of a Clippers last year type approach to the start of the season. After that short layoff, they only had 70-day off season, so it's quite impressive because if you look on the contrast, the Heat, who won the finals with them, are sitting at 10th in the East. So it's impressive the way they've come out, and a lot of that has been to their new the depth that they have now. Acquiring Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell has been big for them. They've been able to rely on them a bit more.
I think Schroeder's been quite disappointing though.
I mean, I don't. He hasn't been what he was last year, but I don't know how you could really expect him to be because last year he was a sixth man, but he was one of the most relied on players. You're not gonna get 20 points out of him. When LeBron is that playmaker of that team, so he's not playing as much. Whereas the Thunder, we had him in like a 3-guard lineup, which dominated most of the game.
Yeah, but I would be tempted, maybe not now because everything's going right for them at the moment. But maybe if things start to take a dip, I would be tempted to move LeBron to that point guard position and then experiment with Dennis Schroeder coming off the bench. I think that's an option they could explore down the road.
Yeah. That's interesting, but I don't think they want LeBron. I think part of having Schroeder is take pressure off LeBron so that he doesn't have, because right now a lot of their rest is during games, where LeBron will kind of take a few possessions off and conserve his energy, which he's getting a lot better as. He's in the 18th year of his career, so he's learning methods to conserve his energy, and you don't want LeBron dominating the ball too much. But Schroeder definitely thrives off the bench, but I think he expressed that that's not a place he wants to permanently be. I think they'll work it out. They should work it out though. They should definitely work it out.
Well, it's not even a fact about working out. They're playing fantastically right now. But and also like players like Alex Caruso, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, taking big steps up this year, continuing their form from the bubble. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has become a knockdown shooter, which
I think he's shooting the highest percentage. He's shooting around 50. I saw a graphic, but he's shooting around 50%. Quite a lot of attempts as well.
Yeah, but in his early days with the Lakers, he was not the player we see today. He was kind of he was kind of like a J.R. Smith type, but now he's
Sorry, no, not that. I just saw a group chat because I said Fox for AD, and then Isaac was like, "Yeah, fair trade."
No, but the Lakers role players have really stepped up. Marc Gasol's been a surprisingly good addition as well. He's starting at that center for them. Just doing the things that don't really show up in the box score. So the Lakers, I feel, and I guess we both feel, are still the team to beat. Still the team
Absolutely,
to beat. Yeah. Right, so that's our power rankings. I'll take you through them one more time briefly. At 10, we've got the Denver Nuggets. At 9, we've got the Indiana Pacers. At 8, we've got the Suns. At 7, we've got the Bucks. At 6, we've got the Celtics. At 5, we've got the Nets. At 4, we got the 76ers. At 3, we've got the Jazz. And top 2 teams from LA, the Clippers at 2 and the Lakers at 1. Tell us what you think about those rankings, if you agree, if you disagree. But that's what we felt was fair. And I think we pretty much got that spot on from what we've seen so far this season. But that's all we've got time for today. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. If you can, please go in to the Twitter page at 4QT Pod on Twitter. Go and support us. You know, as I said, you'll get memes, you'll get highlights, you'll get a bit of everything over there. So go and follow us over there. Also, remember to like and comment and subscribe on the YouTube channel and share the podcast on Spotify. Thank you all for listening. You got anything to say, Josh? Anything to end it with?
No. If you are from Twitter, or if you've made it to this point, we appreciate that, and we want to be on the rise this year.
Yeah,
man. Let's go with this.
You can expect some more consistency from us. You know, I feel like to start the year we've been doing well, but this is just a start, man.
Also, we've got a special podcast coming next week.
Yeah.
So, but we'll leave it at that.
Stay tuned for that. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. We're out. Peace.